need are time-tested, highly successful and easily applied sales and negotiation how-tos that produce long-lasting results? Of course you do. Wouldn't it be of massive benefit if you knew how to turn all sales objections from obstacles into sales opportunities? J. Douglas Edwards was both the godfather of all of today's sales trainers, plus the most eagerly sought after professional speaker of the 1960s, 70s and 80s. He's guaranteed to energize, engage and equip you to sell more easily and more confidently in this Masters of Success sales training series. Please enjoy and learn from the sales master J. Douglas Edwards in this compilation highlights.
We're going to talk about objections. The death knell of the amateur. And the opportunity of the professional. You see, objections are good, not bad. If you don't get objections during the process of making a presentation, I'll make you an absolute promise. You're not going to make that sale. I know you've all got the dream. Someday I'm going to find one who won't object to anything, and when I finish, he's going to take it without any hesitation. Oh, maybe this will happen once in your lifetime. The odds are even that won't happen. You see, if they are seriously interested, they have to object. But what are objections? Objections, if you learn to listen, will indicate to you what they want to buy. Works on any product. Objections. Now again, same thing I've told you before. Don't go out and try and use them. Build them into you first. But remember, these are stepping stones on the way to a sale. Objections are good, not bad. Thank you. We're going to investigate a little further my favorite subject. It's called closing the sale. As I've said many, many times before, this is what it's all about. This is the ultimate difference between the amateur and the professional. All kinds of people can demonstrate a product or a service, but the big difference comes when you get down to that fabulous thing we call closing. This is creating the decision. When I talk about closing, I think there's something you should understand. You have an advantage any time you try and close, and it's an advantage you're not willing to realize. In the kinds of economies that we live in today in free enterprise societies, where the economies are high, we have something going for us, we salesmen. You cannot today display any product or service that's new to a potential owner without having him mentally start out by saying to himself, I want it, I want it, I want it. You see, our whole society is training us to believe that we have the right to want things. And this has been generated in the minds of everybody. I have the right to want it, whatever it is. And this has been so honed over the years that now we have a very interesting opportunity as salesmen. It is impossible to show a new product or service to anyone without having this reflex start reacting. I want it, I want it, I want it. So we've been talking about closes. Well, now let me make another point. I've given you a few here. There are many other closes available to you. One of the things that's totally discouraging to me as I go across the country is that people will say, a close is great. And they'll come up to me and they'll tell me, oh, that's a great close, or oh, this is a great close. And then I ask them about the other closes that have been provided to them, and they don't know them. Now, I want to tell you something. You are as good a closer as you know ways to close. So I recommend to you that if you're going to be a professional, you face this basic and specific requirement. In your job, first of all, to memorize, and secondly, to practice, drill, rehearse, drill, practice, role play these things until they become a part of you, and not just one or two.
Hi. Are you really ready to start incrementing your income? Really? You know, the subject I have before me now is a subject that is the favorite of everyone who's ever trained salespeople. Closing the sale. It has so many names. But I'm going to talk to you here today about how the true professionals close sales. I'm also going to try and give you some closes that are usable in bad times, when the economy is broken, and give you some closes that you can use under any and all conditions. But I'm also, most importantly, going to try to give you a concept of the way super pros close. We might call it closing with combinations. You see, no single close will ever gain you a sale. Seldom, if ever, will the first closing attempt work. Visualize, if you will, a well-trained professional fighter, boxer. Very seldom do they win a fight with one punch. They win that fight as a result of using combination punches. And that, by the way, is the way salespeople win sales. Potentially great. What's the difference between what you're doing and what the really great sales professionals are doing? Actually, very little difference. Now, you've heard from me and other trainers for years all of the methods, all of the tactics, all of the techniques. There's been one problem. You have not reflexed the techniques that you've heard. They're not part of your ongoing, everyday vocabulary. So until you get to a point where you actually will reflex all of the sales skills that have been offered to you, you can't take that final step that I'm going to talk to you about today into the area of greatness. I want to talk to you now about a subject you have heard many, many times, objections. But I'm going to try and handle it just a little bit differently. Objections are my objective. That's right. Objections are your objective. Objections. You can't sell without them. And you've got to learn to love them. Will you understand that if you're going to succeed in selling, there's one thing you have to gain, and that's the capacity to live with rejection and handle rejection and turn it to your benefit. And if you can't accept rejection, you don't belong. But when you learn these techniques, which turn rejection into profit for you and benefit for them, you're becoming big time. What I'd like to do now is to talk to you about one of the greatest of these techniques. It's called control. Controlling the selling situation. In fact, it's one of the great differences between the mediocre and the great salespeople. Mediocre people will let their potential clients take the sale away from them by taking command of the situation. But the great salespeople have the situation in control from the moment of contact until they have closed the sale. Well, what are these control devices that they use? We're going to talk about some of them now. How many times have you been subjected to sales training? How many times have you read, heard, seen methods of qualifying, methods of asking questions, methods of handling objections, methods of closing? How many times have you seen these things? Endlessly. And yet you didn't grow in selling. You didn't become one of these people that become legends in their own time. And why didn't you? Because you didn't do what they did. You didn't take all of these skills and computerize them. Why, practice, drill, and rehearse. And therefore, you lost control. And control, as I said in the first, is what great selling is all about.
Trust you got some really valuable takeaways from J. Douglas Edwards. For more information on the Masters of Success Sales Training Series, email me at david@davidjackson.com.au or visit our all-new website www.jdouglasedwards.com.au. Look forward to hearing from you.